Hello and welcome to today's event of the BabyBrains Annual Conference. We are, I think, exactly in the middle of our conference, and it's very special because we are here together with Silvia Rigato, um, senior lecturer at the University of Essex, and our partner forever, I would say, of Baby Brains, and yeah, the bond that binds us together is a really, really, really strong one, and it's very special to be here in the middle of the conference together. Thank you very much for coming, Silvia.
Well, thank you for inviting me again and again. It's always a pleasure to accompany the journey of the conference as well as the rest of the Baby Brains. So thank you.
Thank you. Can we see your T-shirt, please?
Ta-da!
Relationship makes us grow. Thank you so much. Well, without further ado, I will let you tell us all about the relationship between science and society and how you have been going about nurturing it over the last years.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. First of all, as I said, for inviting me, for having me here, as you said, in the middle of the conference, which is always very exciting. So yes, you asked me to talk about the bond between science and society. Just before that, then I will quickly say a little introduction about myself. As you said, I work at the University of Essex, where we have the Essex Baby Lab. We are a team of researchers. Some of the faces in the pictures you might recognize as well. Researchers and PhD students, and we all have in common this passion for baby development. And in fact, in our research, we ask a range, I would say, of questions that can help us better understand how babies develop from the very beginning of life. We ask questions that can tell us about social development, emotional development, cognitive development, really everything that can help us understand better how we come to life and how we evolve to become, the grown-up people that we are. For example, we ask a question about how babies develop a representation of their own body. How do they know where their hands are, for example, in the space? How they are able to locate a touch on their hand, or how they can recognize familiar faces, familiar voices, and so on. We do this by using a range of methods and measures. For example, we play little games with them, and we observe how they react. So looking at behaviors that they can put in place at particular stages of their life. We also look at the looking behavior. So, for example, we record where they look on the screen and for how long they prefer looking at a particular image over another. But what I think it intrigues us all more is what's going on in the brain. So we have different techniques, as the funny cups that you see in the pictures here, the EEG or the NIRS, and these techniques can really tell us what part of the brain reacts when they see, for example, a particular image, and also what time things are happening in the brain. These informations are really interesting, I think, for us to understand what's behind the behaviors that we can actually observe. But because the talk of today is not on, very specific details of what we do, I think what we are going to focus more is the part of our lab, that our research or our work that doesn't really stay within the walls of the lab, but actually goes beyond those. And in terms of, what we do here at in Colchester, close to the University of Essex, is this commitment to engage with the community. And we try to have or to hold regular coffee mornings where we bring science to the community. So we invite parents to share their experiences on particular topics, and we offer some science-based information, and we encourage a communication and, as I said, like experience sharing of experiences between parents and academics and also professionals. So people who really work on a daily basis with families. It can, range from sleep consultants to nutritionists, for example. So that really is something that we like to do to encourage this communication between science and society. But you asked me to talk about what we do with you, what we've been doing since the very beginning. So let's go and take this trip down memory lane, really. So I think we started our bond over a coffee, Silvia, and that was XX years ago. We might not want to be so specific. But that was when the two of us were doing our PhD at the Center for Brain and Cognitive Development, or one floor above, in your case. And at that point, I don't think we knew exactly what was going to happen in our the future of our bond. But maybe we put at that point some good solid basis for our
grounded in coffee.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think a few years after that, possibly one child each after that, and another job in between, you obviously started BabyBrains, and I landed my job at the University of Essex. And so I think I can, proudly say that I was part of the BabyBrains from the very beginning, from the birth of BabyBrains. Which I think as a developmentalist really makes sense to say that. And in fact, I was, and I'm still part of the advisory team of BabyBrains, and as you put it down there, there is this mission to ensure that what you offer is in line with the current scientific standards. So it's really important, I think, from my side, to know that I'm part of this, that I have this responsibility as well. I'm part of this amazing team of academics that can really help support you and the work that you do. And also, a few years later, I think that you started BabyBrains, you had this great idea of developing a BabyBrains app as well, which was really well timed with the birth of my second child. So I might have piloted the whole thing on the future. But that was really good fun, and spending time, I would say, looking at this app and these activities as a parent and as an academic, a scientist, really helped to see the value of it. And so I look forward to see the second, well, not the second, but the latest version. Not that I will pilot it again. I think we're done. But to see, how the new app will come out, hopefully soon.
Yeah.
So that was it. And after that, we started our first, I think, proper research project together. And that was based here at the University of Essex, where we collected data on prenatal and postnatal maternal health and on baby's development. So we were basically asking moms to report how they were feeling before birth, at birth, and then different time points throughout the first year of life. And also we asked them to report about their baby's temperament. And at the same time, we were inviting them to take part in the BabyBrains courses. And that was when you started coming to Essex quite regularly to really support and empowering the local community of parents that we have here. This was really, nice, and events which also attracted some BBC coverage over there. You can see the picture. We were on telly, our famous moment. But it was really interesting to see how this bit, again, was a stepping stone for, I think, BabyBrains and us to collaborate even more on a practical side of having parents interested in knowing more about baby's development, and also see the practical side of it. And, that's obviously your big role there. And it was also the base, I would say, of a lot of trainings, not that you were doing for baby brain trainers as well, when it came quite a lot of international spread. And I think when we were doing that, it was also when Maria Laura Filippetti joined the University of Essex and for the Baby Lab. And with her, I think we really started looking at this implementation of commitment of bridging the gap between science and the community. And so we started a series of events where we were inviting parents and practitioners to talk about baby development together. At that very first meeting, you were there too. Also later ones, but this one, you were there. I have the proof. That was also, I think, after that, the time where we officially established a new multidisciplinary group, which we called From the Womb to the World, the WOW group, where we like to wow people. And in fact, it's still, a group which is which involve not only, you, Silvia, or BabyBrains in general, and us at the University of Essex, but also a team of independent practitioners, local practitioners. And we really had, I think at that point, set out our aims of supporting and empowering the families, trying to provide a continuity of information which have solid scientific base in terms of what's happening from pregnancy and through the first years of the life of the baby. So how can we really create a platform where parents can find information and are able to navigate them in a easy way that maybe is available out there everywhere. Maybe that's too much. But yeah, so the kind of information that we think really wow people sometimes, those that give back a little bit more of confidence, for example, in their role as parents. For example, this is just a slide to that sometimes we use to show that, for example, mothers, they prepare during pregnancy to embrace this new adventure, a little baby, not only because the changes that the body is showing, but also, because the brain is actually changing during pregnancy already. And in fact, these kind of changes are there to promote caring for the child. But we also tell parents, for example, how newborns are not the helpless creatures that in the past we used to think they were, but they are actually socially competent. They in fact show a range of abilities if we only knew the way to look for this, no? And again, we say basically the kind of methods that we use in the lab and that are used in the research, developmental research in general, to actually answer these questions that we have about development. After that, I think after that first meeting, we actually had other successful events, again with the practitioners and parents. And at some point, because you always have a great ideas, you decided that this was something that needed to happen more widely and often. So you took the whole thing online and made it a regular appointment on the Facebook page. I think it was only at the beginning, and then there was more and more. And in fact, there was a lot of these events. I think it was Monday to start with, and then it's now on Friday. But that's again a very special moment where there is a very precious, I think, communication between science and the society, and mediated by you, Silvia, that can really, or Cecilia, who can really help to help us scientists to understand the value of what we're finding, and families and parents to understand how this can be used on a daily life to facing the challenges or the nice and joyful moments that we experience every day with our children. And then I think after this COVID happened, so the whole conference also moved online. So I think the 2021 was the first online conference that we tried to organize together. And again, it was a really precious moment to share impressions and things also that were going on at that particular time of our life. Okay, so after that, we go a little bit more recent memories. Well, Karina de Klerk joined the University of Essex and the Baby Lab. And very recently, I think this whole new project started less than 1 year ago, really. We started to collaborate together, Silvia, to develop a new BabyBrains module, which we call BabyBrains Body, which is based on some of the research that myself, Maria Laura, and Karina conducted in the Baby Lab. And you've been coming to see us a few times in the past few months to deliver this new module to parents and practitioners. And I think it was really well received. And obviously, more recently, you were in London to do this again. And I hope it went well.
It went really well. And there were also, over the last months, there were 2 occasions where this happened in Milan too. And it's going very well there. And the the army of trainers that are going to bring your content around the world is growing. We've trained already, I think, 8 or even 10 trainers. So it's multiplying already.
That's really good to hear. That's really interesting. And what I remember when we were sitting on this workshops when you were here in Essex, it was really interesting to see, the kind of questions that were coming from the parents, the curiosities, and the, as we said, the wow moments, the revelations, and it was really, really interesting to really witness the becoming of this module, really a practical thing. So that's really good to hear. But there's also more, so watch this space, because we want to tell you more about what's, I think, behind the BabyBrains Body module. We've been recording some things in the lab, and Silvia, you'll be recording yourself as well. So we'll try to put on, in the next few months, maybe, this open online course where we say a little bit more about the research behind this new module. This online course will be hosted by the University of Essex, but everybody will be able to access. So yes, watch this space if you want to know more. And again, it's another, way to get in touch with more people, to really walk on this bridge between science and society. And again, it's a very rewarding thing that we do on our side as well, to see how this is, our findings or the effort that we put into the research is received from parents, from families, and to value also the relationships, and the bonds. And in fact, what we know is that, from a little bond that started over a coffee, we actually develop and made grow lots of relationships. On different levels. Okay. So I think we are done here on my side. So thanks for listening and to walked with us down this memory lane journey.
Oh, I'm all emotional now. Thank you so much for kind of telling this story. And I think it's beautiful how really the personal and the professional are kind of woven into each other. And this is one of the values that we really put at the center of BabyBrains, because with Cecilia, we're really trying to create a space where those relationships matter, and where working together with people that function like us and that complete us, and where we can really have this dance together, where we bring in what we can and they add what they can, and we really are willing to go into this old relationship thing that often in many workplaces might kind of suffer a little bit and might be pushed aside. We are really determined to put it in the center. So thank you for showing it so beautifully, also in the multiplication of our relationship into all the relationship between the members of our family. So really, really exciting. Thank you. We have a few questions for you now. Let me want to see you better. And I guess the question is, so why we do this? I think it's clear. So Baby Brains, we engage with you as scientists because we want to have, you've said it before, but we want to have the best possible information to give parents. But how are you engaging with us? Why are you putting so much time and effort into reaching parents? What is in it for you and for scientists in general?
Well, as I said, I think at some point it is really rewarding, for us. Well, I can talk for myself at least. For me to see that our research actually has a final aim, which might not the final, but at least it reaches someone and has an impact on people's life. And it's, as I said, it's also really surprising sometimes because you always, as a scientist, might have some ideas, and some of this might really sound very abstract, and but at some point they will become very concrete when we have data at hand. Again, it's a long process, as being in the lab, looking at the data, analyzing numbers and things, and then how these become information that can be helpful to other people. That's really an interesting process, and as I said, really rewarding. And at the same time, the communication that we have with parents, with families, also help us to sometimes direct our research. So maybe to help us to make us think of different questions or different point of view, or what is really important for them to know, how can we really help. Again, maybe long term, but to walk small steps to start new knowledge.
For us, this is really exciting to be used as a bridge. Really, that's what we want it to be, and to see that many more scientists and many more parents are taking this bridge, are taking this road to communicate with each other. And so and I like how you say that it's not a one-way thing. It's not just scientists have all the knowledge and they just funnel it down out to the parents or to society in general. Educators are very concerned as well, but it's really a loop. It's really a communication going on, and it's just wonderful to be part of that. So thank you. And you are basically both sides of the bridge, though, because you're a parent as well. And so what do you think parent can learn from knowing about brain development? Of course, you know a lot. And do you think it's necessary to know as much as you to be a good parent? Do you think that any parent would benefit from knowing something about the brain? So how do you, what's the message for parents there? Why should they get interested in science, brain development science?
It's an interesting question, because obviously before all this information were available, parents were still parents and babies were still babies. So it's not that we have all of this information about baby brain development for many years in the past. So things were still happening, and we all grew anyway with parents or grandparents who might have not known much about it. But I think we are lucky now that we can know more, and I think my My tip would be, try to learn as much as you can as this information, becomes available, as I think we are doing in other aspects of our lives, for example, technologies or other, scientific discoveries. Like it would be, in a way, silly maybe to ignore, the new knowledge that is coming to life. And it's not necessary to become better parents, because, it's not that knowing things will make us a better parents. Absolutely not. But maybe it helps to make us think more about our children, and maybe helps us to give us more motivation to develop patience. For example, when and it doesn't mean that we do not react to particular things that happens in front of our eyes, or
I know you don't.
wish. But we are humans. But if we can be humans with knowledge that is relevant to us and our children, why not? So yeah, I think it is really important to know, for example, and that development is what does development mean? Is change. So it is really important, for example, just to know that the babies that we have in front of us is not, if we want to say, like a fully complete outcome, but it needs time to fully develop. And the other thing is that we are developing all the time anyway, so we are changing all the time. At some point we are aging, so on the other side of the spectrum we have another kind of development. But again, someone else will have to be patient with us at some point. But yeah, like going back to babies' development, I think it is important to know that there are things in progress all the time, that the brain is really in process, and the abilities that they are, and the skills that they are learning every day. They are learning every day. They are not there from the very beginning. Not all of them. There might be some precursors, and then they get better and better, and they change. So I think that's the main thing that is important to always remember, is that the change, the continuous change.
And I think one thing that really helped me developing that patience and kind of knowing that we are waiting for development, like that we are waiting for something to happen, and this is happening by itself. At the same time, during this process of change, you can really be amazed. So the more you know, somehow, and that our wow idea, I think it comes from there as well, that okay, it's not perfect, okay, it's not as I thought it was gonna be, okay, I'm very tired, like that's all true, it doesn't go away. But in the middle of it all, I can sometimes just go, oh, wow, that's amazing. And so I think that working together at noticing those moments is really precious. I guess, as you were saying before, both for the scientists who go like, oh yeah, maybe that's something that I should pursue, and for the parents as well, because that's fuel to get along the parenting journey. So thank you for that collaboration too. Yeah, and I have one last question, which is I think a little bit of a tricky one. One that maybe you had to kind of confront during your career already a few times, because scientists or research has this habit of looking for negative things. It's easier to see the impact of something bad, like a negative impact of something bad. Like let's think, I don't know, smoking during pregnancy. We can see all the damages it makes, right? It's a kind of very clear, obvious one. But in general, we can tell that there is this tendency of looking into, for example, depression or depressive symptoms during pregnancy and how they affect the child's temperament later on, and things like that. Of course, that's useful to support people that might be in that situation, and we know there are many, so that's in itself already super important. But what about the rest of the population? Can the rest of the population take inspiration from those things as well? Can we kind of flip it around and see the positive side of it? Are we allowed to do that? How should we go about doing that?
Yeah, I think, as you said, it is a tricky question, no? But I don't know. So I think, for example, as you said, like all the research about maternal depressions and how this affects babies' development, it might sound negative because just the words depression, but in general we are talking about health, right? So we are talking about mental health, and which is obviously really important to keep in our mind in any stage of our life. What we know is that there are particular times of life where individuals are more prone to develop difficulties or disorders, mental health disorders, and I think it is important to know how these difficulties can affect their own life and the life of the people around them. But this is not the end of the story. Like, why are we studying this? It's not because we just want to feel bad about it, but because we want to do something about it. And I think this really is, why we want to talk about this research, to the society. Because if we are not in the first, the people who can actually make something, then someone else can really pick up from there and say, okay, we have this data showing this and this. Can we try and maybe walk on more distance in this bridge, right? Taking from this data and start developing interventions or treatment support to help, for example, mothers with depressions, so that they do not feel so bad all the time, and also the effects on the baby can be alleviated. And in fact, as I said, it's not the end of the story there, because, for example, we know that when the moms feel supported by the partners or the family members, friends, or even the health care system, obviously, these symptoms of depressions or anxiety, they are buffered, right? So they are moderated. So it's not just that science focus on the negative. Science, would like to find out what to do after this as well. And as there is research on maternal depression, there's also research on social support, for example. So I think this is really important, that we don't see a study as a conclusion of a story, but something that can actually be developed into a new study and at some point into interventions as well.
This is really wonderful and helpful. Also teaches us parents out there how we should read science in a way. It can happen that we read a blog post about something, or a newspaper article, or even just one paper, a scientific paper, and we might have this temptation of jumping to the conclusion that now we know everything about that topic. And I think the work that we've been doing together throughout the decades soon really also reflects upon this, and how science is not a revealed knowledge. It's in progress, just like you were talking about the progress of the baby and the brain that changes. So is science, and so keeping up to date and keeping in touch with it and seeing what happens, and having it always quite clear what we're trying to do, why we're doing this. And I think in particular, we're really trying to work on this village that we need to raise a child. It's not just the mom, it's not just the mom and the dad, it's really everyone around, getting information and learning more about development, and how we can support it, how we can be those buffers, protect those people in the phases when they might be more vulnerable, how we can ask for help ourselves, because always we tend to think of other people as vulnerable, but sometimes we are in that position ourselves as well. And so kind of having a all-round education about this will really help improving quality of life for everyone, families, babies, everyone. So thank you so much. It's been really special to go over all this exciting steps that we've been going in the last 10 years, and really hoping that there will be many more. And wishing you all the best, and enjoy the rest of your day and of the week. And if you want to connect in to listen to your colleagues talking about different aspects of how relationships make us grow, you're more than welcome.
Thank you. Thanks a lot again for having me. It's been really a pleasure also to go over again all this journey together.
Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you. Bye.